Today, we're going to dive into the unsettling world of zombie debt. This type of debt earns its creepy name because it just keeps coming back over and over again, haunting you long after you thought it was gone. If you've ever been contacted about an old debt that you don't remember or one that you thought was already paid, you may have already encountered zombie debt. So in this video, we're going to talk about what it is, how it works, and most importantly, how to handle it if it happens to you. So, first, what is it? It's the kind of debt that just seems to rise from the grave over and over again, even after you've dealt with it once, twice, or even more times. These debts are often from accounts that are very old, paid off, settled, discharged in bankruptcy, or riddled with errors. Despite these problems, they just keep resurfacing, often years later, when a new debt collector decides to take one more shot at trying to squeeze that money out of you. So, you may not know this, but debt buying is a huge thing here in America. If one company can't collect, they can sell that debt to someone else for a fraction of the amount that you owed. A lot of times, they sell it for just pennies on the dollar. And then the new buyer tries to collect it. And if they fail, they can sell it to another company. And the process repeats over and over again. Now, of course, each time the debt is sold, it gets less legitimate and harder to verify. And if they miss paperwork and don't pass things on the right way, they might not even have the right to collect on it at all. That being said, the market for buying and selling debts is largely unregulated. Debts are often bundled together and sold as is, with the seller openly acknowledging that there might be issues with the paperwork. But that doesn't stop debt buyers from purchasing these accounts. Why? Because they just pay pennies on the dollar for them anyway. For example, in 2016, John Oliver famously bought $15 million worth of medical debt for just $60,000. That's less than half a cent for every dollar that was owed. The debt buyers who purchase zombie debts usually have very little information. They often know only your name, your contact information, and the amount that they claim that you owe. What they often don't have is the critical documentation, like the original account statements or proof that the debt is even valid. Of course, they won't admit that when they contact you. Instead, they rely on scare tactics and pressure to try to get you to pay before you have the chance to think it through and ask the tough questions. And because they paid so little for the debt in the first place, they can often make a profit even if only a few people are tricked into paying. Now, before we talk about what you should do if you're contacted about zombie debt, I want to add an important disclaimer here. I'm not a lawyer. Everything I'm sharing with you today is based on my research and my personal experience. If you're facing legal issues or you have specific questions about your rights, you'll need to consult a qualified attorney for personalized advice. And we have a list of legal aid organizations on our website that may be able to help you. Now, if you're contacted about zombie debt, the first and most important thing to do is demand validation. Federal law gives you the right to request written proof of the debt. This documentation should include the name of the original creditor, the amount that is owed, and the evidence that the debt is legitimate. If the collector can't provide this information, they are legally required to stop pursuing you. It's also crucial that you do not acknowledge the debt in any way. Saying something as simple as, "Oh, well, I'll try to pay that," or, "Yeah, I think I might owe something," can restart the clock on the statute of limitations, and that is a bad thing for you. The statute of limitations is the legal deadline that debt collectors have to sue you over a debt. Once it's past that limit and it's too old, they can't take you to court anymore. But if you acknowledge the debt, that clock can reset, putting you in a worse position even if the debt is not valid. That's why we have another video that tells you never to pay a single dollar on old debts until you check the statute of limitations. Because if they can get you to restart that timer, then they can sue you and they have more tools available to pressure you into paying. You never want to compromise your own rights here. And that's why understanding your rights is one of the best ways to protect yourself. Debt collectors rely on your fear and your confusion to pressure you into paying, even when you don't owe anything, but you have legal protection. Collectors cannot harass you, they can't threaten you, and they must stop contacting you if you send a written cease and desist letter. If you're unsure about the validity of your debt or your rights in dealing with it, it's always a good idea to seek legal advice. A consumer protection attorney or a certified debt counselor can help you navigate the situation and make sure that you don't have any costly mistakes. Zombie debt is a symptom of a broken system, but there are steps you can take to protect yourself. Regularly check your credit report. That's one way to stay ahead of any potential issues. If you see any unfamiliar accounts or errors, dispute them right away. Keep records of debts that you've already paid or settled, because that can save you a lot of headaches later. If a collector contacts you about an old debt, having proof that you already paid it or settled it can shut that down immediately. And finally, never pay a debt without verification. Even making a small payment can revive an old debt and reset that statute of limitations. Always demand proof that you owe before you ever agree to pay anything. I know that zombie debt is a predatory practice that thrives on fear and confusion, but now that you know how it works and what to do, you're better prepared to protect yourself and you don't have to freak out if it comes back again. So, have you ever dealt with zombie debt? How did you handle it? Share your experience in the comments below because it might just help someone else avoid falling into that trap. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to check out our other videos for more tips on dealing with debt collection scams and saving money. I'll see you there.